Timmy G, you want to do the introductions today? I mean, I'm always starting this off. We
Well,
got
you
a
know
very
what's
special
fun?
guest today.
Yeah, very special guest. I'm going to say Snoop Dogg. What's up, baby?
Toderific!
Yeah, no, we are here with a good friend. I would consider it family, Eric Toder, and we're excited to have you, Eric. I got to tell that story about my boy Ian at your house.
Yeah, keep it G-rated, please.
I will. But we're excited to have you, man. We appreciate you docketing with us and looking forward to the next 45 minutes of just some fun, some education, some sales nuggets from someone that I highly respect, my man. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's so good to be here with you guys. I was jealous of all the other guests that came before me. And I realized I had to wait. There's royalty that have to be served. So I was patient and I was just praying for that this day would come.
There you go.
Yeah,
My God,
no.
Toder, how long it's been since when? We first
March
met
of 98.
March of
Wow.
98. My first memory, by the way, of Eric Toder is, and I tried to get in the office early, kind of what we've always talked about. And there was Toder reading his newspaper earlier than any first man in the office. That's for
Yeah.
sure. And I think he still does it today, which is just fascinating. But right?
Yeah, so I went from, the hard copy of the New York Times, so I'm reading it online right now, and my vision isn't that good, so it's I only can only read for about 20 minutes or half an hour at a time now.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat, Eric. Don't worry about it. My vision is horrible. So not my first recollection of E was he was the one that brought us to Montclair, New Jersey.
There
I
you go.
remember you telling us, "Hey, man, this is a great neighborhood. You should come in, give it a shot," and absolutely loved it. So thank you for that. So I guess before we kind of get into it, a personal question: how's Ian and Ellie? How they doing?
Good. Ellie's getting married in November.
Congratulations.
Justice of the Peace. She made a good decision, and Ian is out in Orange County selling real estate. And they're launched, and I miss them, and they're doing great. Thank you.
That's
That's great.
awesome. Awesome. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Toda, give us a little bit of background. I mean, tell us your journey, really, for the people that join. I mean, we know you deeply and lovingly, but for the audience, tell us who you are and kind of your journey and where you are today. Love to hear
Of
about it.
course, of course. And I'll try to make this really, really quick. So I'm a Jersey boy, born in Brooklyn, grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Bruce.
Um, Went to Rutgers. I
Yes.
like New Jersey. Still live in New Jersey. I live in Ridgewood right now, working virtually. I've been at TCDI now a year, just over a year. But I met you guys in March of 98 after 13 years in the insurance business. So in 1984, I started off knocking on doors, selling homeowners and automobile policies. Then I graduated to life insurance at night. And I still don't know anything about insurance, but as time went on, I moved into I worked for some big brokers. I worked for Arthur Gallagher. I worked for what is now Willis Group, and started getting into large property and casualty sales, alternative risk financing. And it was not going that great. And I heard about this company in New York at the time. A friend of mine was Scott Kay, was
Yeah.
a sales guy for the west side of Icon in New York, where they were putting college graduates in suits and sending them into law firms with dollies to make photocopies. And they were making six-figure incomes. And I'm like, if one of those are available, count me in. So I got into, I was offered a job at the Icon East Side office in March of 98. And I'm talking to my two mentors right now, Steve and Tim. So Steve, you were my manager when I first
Yep.
started. And what you taught me was the relationship sale. We would walk into Skadden Arps and you would entertain them. And that was so foreign to me. But what you were doing is you were making friends. You were getting people to relax. You were being relatable, and that worked for you. And it worked really, really well. You had major, major success before you went into management. That was not my recipe for success. I didn't have the charisma and the energy that you had. So I had to try something different. And then there was Tim, who was setting all types of sales records, and just, working into firms like Kirkland and Ellis and Deborah Boys and Plimpton, and coming out with thousands of boxes for photocopying. And so what I learned was, what would work for Tim and Steve would not necessarily work for me. But at the end of the day, it's a relationship sale, and knowing who you're talking to. And, it's a different conversation with a 23-year-old paralegal than with a 45-year-old partner. And both of you guys taught me that. I didn't have that kind of perspective in the insurance business because we were speaking to stodgy risk managers and CFOs and controllers. So you really had to be really flexible. You really had to know your customer. And in my first 3 months at Icon, I probably learned more about that than I did in my 13 years in the insurance business.
Wow.
So Toto, you made a couple of statements there, and I think it's interesting, right? Because clearly Tim and I are in a class of our own over here, right? We understand that. But when you say you looked at both of us and different styles and different methodologies, but a little bit of the same kind of really it was about walking in and having this presence and making the relationships quickly. And you said you adapted it to yourself. Like you looked at that and you said, well, that's not really me, but how did you approach it? Like when you looked at that and said, okay, I've got to change a little bit. What was the approach? What did Toder do to gain those relationships and that trust?
Yeah. So in my first month, 2 or 3, I just outworked everybody. Because that's all I knew. That's all I knew. I was gonna go on more sales calls. I was gonna get in earlier. I was gonna work later. And it worked. I was bringing in a lot of work. But I was really only scratching the surface. And I remember one day I was checking in a job from Skadden, and you were overlooking my shoulder, and you asked whether we were going to Velo bind or GBC bind, and I looked at you. I'm like, "What's that?" And you're like, "Details." Like you've got to ask these questions. So I think I was just going on pure energy and trying to pull boxes out of my law firms to make copies, and not taking time to provide some value, some expertise, some consulting, because that just did not exist in the insurance sale. The insurance sale was a big team, lots of presentations. So I think it was the attention to detail where it got me to try to separate myself from just being a copy guy.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that.
You bring up a great point, because I think all of us have our own unique skill set, right? And you talk about Rapp coming in and entertaining clients, and I genuinely love people and love talking to people. Almost will talk too much. What would you share with the younger generation about being yourself in a sales situation, in a sales organization? Because a lot of times you see people successful, and you want to emulate them or copy them, but sometimes it's better just to go your own path. So what would you suggest to the younger generation as far as being yourself, when you're selling?
Yeah, so I don't envy the younger generation for to a degree, because there's so much noise out there. But at the end of the day, it's really knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and sort of like really double and triple downing on your strengths. If you're really good, like Tim, like you're really good at getting people to love you. Like, you have people at the handshake, right? And you do. It's just, and you can't teach that. That's just who you are. That works for you. For Steve, Steve can do that, but Steve also likes to, ask maybe more questions up front, and then he'll entertain, but it's always about the client, always about the person. So I would just encourage anyone younger or new in sales to figure out what they're good at, and to double down on it. And whatever your weakness is, get people around you that can cover that, whether it's someone, if you're not technical. If you're shy, you could be a great salesperson if you're an introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. So like I am. And that's because I know myself. I know if I'm around people for more than a couple hours, it socks my energy. I think you guys get more energy. Like it's just how you're wired. And so I think Steve Rapp after 9 hours of people has probably more energy than in hour one.
I
Depends
love
what's in
that.
my depends what's in my bloodstream.
I love that.
So Toder, here's the thing, and I know you pretty well, right? So you spent, well, close to 30 years. I mean, it's almost 30 years, right?
Yeah, 28.
Driving growth across kind of the AM laws in the Fortune 1000 space. I mean, this is an industry that has burnout, right? Has turnover. People aren't used to kind of the work that we do. What's been your kind of personal anchor that keeps you motivated, keeps you sharp, and kind of consistently on top of your game? Because you've been at different companies, right? But you're still performing and still kicking ass. Like, what is that? What's motivating you?
Um, we need to continuously grow and change. And,
Mm.
so right now, you can't talk about our industry and not hear AI. So if we're not at a minimum able to ask intelligent questions about AI and its use and its value, and understand the difference between how a corporation will look at it and how a law firm will look at it, and the various contingencies that are involved in both, it could be a long road. So I've decided whatever it may be, I need to educate myself and get better. And that all comes from understanding yourself and knowing your strengths. If you're at an organization where like you're the lone wolf, you better be really smart. You better have a lot of energy. You better be that smartest person in the room. And I've been fortunate that in the organizations I've worked with, I've always had great support, because I could not do it alone. And so I don't know, for me, it's surrounding myself by really quality people. And that's not only within whether it's TCDI or any other place that I work, but also my clients and prospects. The older I get, the pickier I am with who I'm going to do business with, because
Love that.
life is too short. So
Love
when I was
that.
23 years old and getting yelled at, it's one thing, but I don't get yelled at anymore because I probably look a whole lot older than some of their parents. Um, but I think if you carry yourself in a way where what you'll put up with and how you treat people and how you expect to treat people, that comes back at you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I'm at Repario and have another business. Steve's at Alterni and he's, into his photography and has another business. Tell us a little bit, and I'm going to give you a chance on this platform. Just tell us a little bit about TCDI and, what it is that you're doing there and what you like about it. And, plug yourself a little bit.
Sure. So, we use the term, we solve big problems, and it sounds trite, and it sounds like, what does that mean? We solve big problems. Whether it's workflow, whether it's the use of AI, we have a tech lab that's going on 5 years old. And we've actually just developed a relationship and a partnership with Alterni. So we're
Awesome.
picky on who we work with, and it's really around the security, because there's some great tools out there, but if they don't have the client security, then they're just not going to pass muster. You can't possibly promote them as viable solutions to our clients. Um, we're really good with keeping costs down. We're really good with understanding all the tools that all our competitors use, whether it's relativity or whatever might be out there.
Mhm.
But we also have a proprietary solution of tools that clients like, keeps costs down, and a bit of a separator. So I would say the flexibility of our understanding, our workflow, and just solving big problems and keeping it really simple.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
and Toda, you mentioned something before, and I thought it was interesting. I think you talked about kind of how you've transformed and how you have to grow as a salesperson, right? And how, I mean, we went from paper to AI, right? That's kind of our evolution. We're all going through that today. Um, what do you think the biggest fundamental shift is in how you've approached selling and solving client problems? And not only that, not only just with the tech, but in the mind of the buyer. So you said something interesting that as an individual, we've got to change and we've got to adapt, right? How's the buyer changing and adapting? Are you seeing that? Are you seeing a shift in that in the way you did business before to today? And how do you adapt to that?
Yeah, so the buyer is getting really sophisticated,
Mm.
and at all levels, right? So we're all salespeople, so we're selling to practice support professionals and law firms. We're selling to associates and
Yep.
discovery attorneys and law firms as well as partners. And all of them, it's a different conversation, it's a different meeting because what we're selling to them has a different meaning as well. And then when we get into corporations, you've got the corporate legal department, and whether it's a hands-on GC or not a hands-on GC who may or may not empower their people to make decisions and hire us. Um, Everything is a different conversation. So the buyers are really good at what they're doing. Like they've got their role down, and I think our challenge is to identify what's important to the buyer. Can they actually buy what we're selling? Obviously, they better have the budget, or it's just you're visiting and presenting. Um, so I think it's gotten a little more complicated,
Mm.
and I think law firms are looking towards service providers now for partnerships and solutions to be able to go to the corporations together. We've had in the last 6, 8 months conversations with 3 or 4 AmLaw 100 firms who are looking at ways of partnering. So, and they're bringing it up to us. So, to
Is
me, I
that
see
because
more.
is that because everything's changing so quickly now? And it's
I
just hard
think
to keep up, and they're looking for the resident experts to kind of sift through and find the stuff that truly can be integrated into workflows and solutions that work.
I think that's a big part of it, and I also think that they are competing with other law firms that are much more aggressive now in
Mm.
going out and getting business. If you look at the business development groups at AmLaw 200 firms, they've never been bigger. Their marketing whatever they may call themselves these days, but they're, from doing conferences to lunch and learns to getting recertified, all the attorney certifications. Like they're really big groups now, and they're really there to support the lawyers who are the rainmakers who are bringing in the business. These law firms are looking to service providers for assistance in going to market together.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at what one of the top firms in the country is doing. They're getting ready to drop $500 million on AI on their
Yeah.
proprietary tool. I
Yeah.
mean, so you're right. I'm going to go back to one of the things you said. You said things are getting a little bit more complicated as far as our industry and selling to our industry. What advice would you give to the younger generation about dealing with those complications? What would the advice you'd be that you would give?
So I think it's a matter of they've got to be patient. Like this is not, whether it's a Teams call or face to face. This is not going to happen overnight.
Right.
So we all know the law firm work tends to be much more transactionary.
Yep.
It comes quicker. So just understand that you may or may not get an opportunity in a month or 2 or 6. So you better have 50 of those meetings because
Agreed.
yeah, you can't count on being that good. Like you want to be good and a little bit lucky, and you get really lucky when you're active in your marketplace. When you're talking to a corporation, it's a long cycle, and 1 year can be short.
Sure.
And sometimes it can happen in 3 months, depending on what you're talking to them about. If
Right.
they have an immediate need for a lit hold, solution, then they're going to make a decision in probably 2 to 6 months.
Right.
But if you're just entertaining a conversation with them, so there's patience, and then they've got to show value. And to me, showing value is in the quality of the questions that you ask, and then the ability to support those questions with really good answers when it comes back at you.
Yeah, I mean, that's spot on. I mean, I got back in it about 30 months ago and didn't realize how long it was going to take even with these long standing relationships, just
Yeah.
going through the infosec process could take a year,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Before you can even be considered as a vendor. So that's spot on. So thanks.
I would also add, like back in the day, like getting an MSA was a good thing. Like you would actually, from a law firm, you would actually get work fairly shortly thereafter.
Uh,
Now sometimes it's the last thing you do in that firm. You get an MSA and you're done. So Yeah, and I'm not against MSAs, but like
Right.
I think not all MSAs are created equal within law firms, and
Yeah.
I think to your point about asking, with a newer rep, like don't get excited with the MSA. Get excited about the relationship that you're building. That
Amen.
because of the MSA may give you an opportunity to bid on work.
Absolutely.
Which just parlays into one of my questions, right? Because navigating the no, Toder, right? We've all been there, right? So legal sales cycles you just talked about are long, complex, and sometimes a lot of bureaucratic friction, right? What's your golden rule? Kind of continuing that momentum in if a deal stalls or you got a major rejection or losing strength. Like what is Toder? Because I think this is, especially for younger people, getting that first no is hard. Or I mean, I got a call yesterday, right? I mean, the deal's about to be signed. They're like, we need another 6 months. Like it's never easy. I'll tell you that much. Even in doing this for 30 years, how do you keep it going? Or what gems would you tell a younger person today of, keep going?
So no is just the beginning. No is not now. We all know this, right? I mean, we wouldn't be still doing this if no's hurt us, and they're still not pleasant. But to me, no is just, it's a word. It's all part of the sales cycle. It's part of building the relationship. It's understanding why no. Were you more expensive? Did they not like that particular solution? Find out what the no is about. But it's really about staying in touch, adding value after the no, and then like figure out, have a strategy with, all right, it's no, but like what about in 6 months? So never get a no without an action plan. Never get a no with minimally, whether you're sending them articles, whether you're taking time to ask them to coffee, drinks, ball games, whatever it is. And also getting back to being stingy with your time. It's like there's only so many hours in the day. Who's worthy of your time? Who is
Love that.
worthy? And I don't say that to be arrogant. It's like if we feel good about our time, the people we're talking to will value us more. And certainly it's not up to us if they'll see us, it's up to them. But I think it's up to us as to who we want to spend our time with and who we want to chase, and continue to build that relationship. We all know that the people that make the most money in our industry have gotten more no's than any of us combined, probably. They just do. They're the busiest. They are shooting for the biggest targets, and they're hearing no a whole lot more.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't see that as arrogance. And 59 years old, I am definitely more um steadfast about my time and where I spend it than I was 25 years ago. I was trying to please so many people back then and just work hard and create. But yeah, no, if I hear a no, I love the point that you brought up about finding out why the no is, but that's not the end all be all of me continuing to do business. And I think for the younger generation, they need to understand that no only gets you to your next yes, right? So, I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
And I mean, I there's a couple of things I feel about this, right? I mean, I've told numerous younger reps that from the Ted Lasso, be a goldfish, right? Right? Like
Uh,
keep going. It's a
yeah,
no. Forget
right.
about it. If you hold on to it, it's never going to help you. So be a goldfish, right? Like BDR calls, they're calling people, they're getting rejected left and right. You have to be a goldfish for that.
Yep.
But one of the things that I took a sales course when I was at EED called the Sandler 180. And it was really, really, it was fascinating for me because it, it, it really taught me to get to the no as quickly as possible. And I think that is just an absolutely fabulous thing to tell a younger person is no's not bad, right?
Right.
Getting to a no as quickly as you can allows you to sit there and park that person, like you said, and say, we'll continue the relationship, but I don't need to spend any more time here. Right. And I think a lot of us hold on to, and I'm telling you this, we've done this throughout our careers, is we've had these people that we think are the yeses, and they never end up truly being the yeses. And
Yes.
getting to that no and cutting that cord and saying, great, but maybe in 6 months or a year, but I'm not spending that much effort on that person anymore. I need to go find a yes. And I think that's a really pivotal approach for younger people to understand that it's really okay to get to a no. Like I would emphasize getting to a no much faster than getting, anywhere else because you know where you stand.
So
And
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
something right when you're getting no's. So basically, the advice I'd give is do more of it. It's we all have our threshold for how many meetings you should be having a week, or new meetings, net new. So
Mhm.
if you're having 6, maybe you need 9. If you're having 9, maybe it's 12. Whatever that number is, probably needs to be increased if you want to get to the yes quicker and bigger.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think, I'm going to dive into this a little bit more because I think there is a balance. Getting to the no quick is key. But I think with the complications in this industry now and the tenure it just takes to create these relationships and go through InfoSec, sometimes that no may take a year and a half, but you have to get to it, right? But it's not like when we were in the copy business where if people were going to send you boxes, they were going to send you boxes. There's just protocol that you have to go through now, whether it's like I said, they're InfoSec or trying to do things like that. So I think there's a balance, but definitely put a time frame on that no, because there's stuff still to this day that has taken me a year and a half to finally get hey, okay, I'm going to give you a shot
mm.
because it was infrastructure or because it was e-discovery or because it was something else or forensics or whatever. So yeah, no, I love that topic. So
I would just add one thing. I have a dear friend that just became a general counsel of a big company, and he's got his e-discovery person, and he's introduced me to her, and we had a perfectly lovely meeting. And she's got 6 vendors that she really likes. So
Mm.
I'm number 7. And so, my decision was make a friend. It's like when she has work, I'm probably not going to be her first phone call.
yep,
But if I make a friend, I show value, and I'm patient and I'm not annoying. Maybe I go from number 7 to number 5 or
yeah,
number 4. And look, at some point, I don't sit around waiting for people to screw up. But what I do wait is the opportunity happens when you got to be prepared, and success happens when opportunity and preparation meet. So
absolutely.
make a friend when it looks desperate, and keep that friend and do what you can to build the relationship.
Mm. And Toder, is there, I mean, I think we've all gone, we've all been taught spin, right? Situation problem. I mean, when you're meeting someone for the first time, is there a playbook that you typically have when you're on a sales call? Like, how do you do your discovery? What do you do research beforehand? What's the kind of approach that you take when you're looking at, hey, I'm meeting this discovery person for the first time. I know the GC. What's the research? What are you doing? What are you probing? What are you looking for? What's the methodology to the
Yep.
terrificness?
So LinkedIn is my best friend. I go on LinkedIn. I look for the articles they may or may not be sending out, the things that they like. I look for the common relationships. Um, and then I'll go into our Salesforce instance and, also get a sense for the firm, and whether or not they're involved with anything with TCDI in the past. Um, it all depends on, if it's a practice support professional, those people tend to be more of a struggle for me than senior partners and contemporaries, because it's a total, I have a business conversation with the
Mm.
Right.
senior partner and the contemporary, whether it's in a law firm or a corporation. When it's a practice support person, they don't care. They look at what we have as a commodity. They've got 30 quality service providers that can give it to them. And I've got to have the nugget or two, or ask the appropriate question to figure out if they have a need. And
So
that's it.
that's really so break it down. Law firm partner, what's their biggest pain point today?
Um, law firm partner, if they're a rainmaker, is interested in connecting with me. They want to know who I know. They want to know who I can introduce them to, and how quickly. If they're not the rainmaker and they're just a partner that does work, um, they want to know how I can make them look good. They want to know how I can not embarrass them, and they want to know, how little time they have to spend with me, because if they're talking to me, they're not billing. So it's me understanding really quickly whether they see because my value is as a connector, right? And a networker. And if I've got that person, then I'm building the relationship differently and spending more time than the partner that really is not the rainmaker, is not bringing in a ton of business, is the busy bee, maybe, maybe the litigator or the person that's first, second, third chair at a trial. But they're looking at more of the performance that we could provide opposed to who we know.
I like
Does that
that.
make sense?
Yeah. And Toda, sorry, I got one more question, then I'll let Timmy turn into
He
it.
can't. He
So
can't help himself, Eric.
I know.
I mean, we
But
do
it-
this on every podcast. It's supposed to go back and forth, and he just can't help himself. So go ahead, Rapp.
it leads into the question that, I mean, it's just the transition
Let's
so
go ahead.
beautiful.
Go ahead.
Rap hasn't started dancing yet, though. So that's, there's been no dancing whatsoever.
Not yet, coming soon. How do you teach a green sales rep? Like if you had if TCDI came up to you today and said, "Hey, we've got this 25-year-old kid we just hired. We want you to mentor him." If you have to teach that rep truly unshakable client trust, kind of where things are being automated in the relationship building, but what do you tell them? Like, how do you build the Eric Toder kind of trust that you've built over the years with a brand new sales rep?
Number one, I want to find out what they want. Why the heck are they doing this job? Like, do they really understand, what they're in and what they're, if they're 25, assume they've been out of college a couple of years, perhaps. They may have had a job or two, probably sold Amway or real estate or something, Cutco. And so now they're an e-discovery. They've fallen into our industry. If they're truly understand the opportunity and what's in front of them, I would tell them not to expect to make a lot of money the first 3-5 years. That they're going to have to build a base. They're going to have to spend a lot of time nurturing relationships and building relationships. And they're going to not get commiserate pay for their effort for the first 3 to 5 years. After that, we all know all bets are off. We've seen it. We've seen that person go from nothing to 20 million a year. They can do it. And I don't have a recipe for that one, but I definitely have but we've seen that. So I think they have to understand that it's a big picture, and they've got to grow and change as a person. They have to be articulate and add value in a conversation, whether it's over coffee, lunch, or drinks. They have to have tremendous skill with people. We all know, like, generally the best salespeople in our industry, you guys included, have great skill with people, all different styles. And I would basically say, if that makes sense, then I'll mentor you and just, kind of do what I do with your own style for the next 3 to 5 years, and you can kill it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Rapp, I don't know if you want to, ask the closing question, but I wanted to ask.
No, that's all you. I like when you ask it. You do it well. And you tell me I talk too much, so whatever.
Well, I don't tell you, it's facts. So Toder, I got to ask this question. Have you been to a Springsteen concert since we went? You took me to my first Springsteen concert. It was awesome, so I got to ask, have you cheated on me since then?
Oh yeah. I'm a serial cheater. So that was probably, I'm guessing, like maybe 2012. If it wasn't 2012, it might have been 2008. Let's say 2008.
Yeah.
Probably
No,
30.
probably 20. No, you're probably right. 2008. Because I was here. I was in Florida. So
that's 18 years if we're doing the math, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably 25 or 30.
Wow.
25 or 30 more?
Yeah.
I am a fan though.
Will you take me to my first Bruce concert, Toder?
Rap. You know what? The three of us.
I've never been.
Yeah, let's do it.
Seriously.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. We should do it. Yeah, I just saw him at the Garden a month ago, and it was different. It was different. He was amazing. I mean, I've seen him a lot. The first time I saw him was 1979, the No Nukes Garden concert at the Garden. Yeah, he keeps me going. My Mets are not keeping me going. That's for sure.
Sorry about that. Sorry, so sorry.
Yeah.
I've been asking for a divorce, and they won't give it to me. Like, they just won't let me go.
They won't let anybody go. I mean, after they spent all that money a couple years ago into to just bomb. I mean, it's sad, but the same, similar to the Yankees. Even though they go a little bit farther, they never get the chip. You know, so
But the Yankees is, they're a brand. They've become the Dallas, the Cowboys.
yeah,
They're a wonderful brand. They attract tourists. Everyone wears a Yankee hat. And they'll win a World Series every 15, 20 years, which isn't so bad.
right. Yeah.
All right,
Go ahead,
ask him
Rapp.
the next.
No,
Go
I
for it.
want you to ask the question. Go ahead.
I refuse.
Are you going to refuse? All right, Eric. So, along these lines, we like to ask the question, what was the moment in your career or the pivot that made you move into this situation? Was there anything in particular that made you go? And I know you were talking about insurance and then coming to the e-discovery side. What was that defining moment, and how can you share that in a way with the younger generation that it was a good move for you?
Sure. So let's start with Icon in '98. I mean, you guys were the two guys I looked up to who did it better than anyone else, and I learned a lot from you. So that was my start 28 years ago. And I've been fortunate to have had some really great examples and mentors over the last 28 years. But I was hosting a dinner about 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, a bunch of GCs and partners in law firms. And at the end of the dinner, one of the GCs walked over to me and said, like, I've been doing these dinners with people forever, and they're all fun. They're good. We eat good meals. We drink wine. We smoke a cigar. But the dinners that you've been hosting and the collection of professionals that you have at your events are different. It's, they're all good people. They're all people I want to be around. They're all people that, whether I get a stitch of business from them or ever, I don't care. Like, I'm just better for being around this group of people. And he looked me in the eye and said, you're a connector. And
Wow.
that's your magic. Forget about cold calling, forget about, dialing. Like, you need to tap into the people and continue doing this, because we see great value. And that's when it
Wow.
clicked that the connection and the referring people and giving it away. If I'm, Rapp, you asked
Us.
earlier, when I meet a rainmaker, the first thing I ask him is, who do you want to meet?
Mm.
Who do you want to know? Like, these are some of my friends. Who could I make that and it just changes everything. So I'm no longer the e-discovery guy. I'm a partner.
I love it.
I'm truly a friend and an equal.
I love it.
Toto, that is fantastic. Honestly, that was a great way to end the sales docket, buddy. My question for you: your span, you've seen some great salespeople. Who do you think we should have as a guest? Who's next for the Garner and Rapp show?
Um, Chris Mitchell.
Mm,
Oh, I know
love
Chris.
him.
Chris is great.
Yeah,
Chris is great.
Chris is just, he's just such a wonderful person, and
Yeah.
probably the most beloved person in the industry. And he's not he manages sales, but I would say Chris Mitchell's pretty good start.
Yeah, no,
Done.
Chris is great.
Love that.
He's great. Yeah.
Well, Toto, this has been outstanding. I mean,
Snoop Dogg.
what came out of this wonderfully is I get a Bruce Springsteen concert coming up soon, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So
Um,
let me, assuming you guys get permission from your wives to, go away for a couple days, then we can do
I'm
this.
good.
you let me
I'm
know.
good.
You
I'm
let me
married
know.
up. You know that, Toder. I'm married up.
We both did.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's true.
goodness. Oh,
That's true.
yes, you did. You did. I love you guys. This was great. Thanks for allowing me to do this. I loved every
No,
minute of it.
we love you, buddy. Really appreciate
Me too,
it.
man.
And I'm gonna stop our recording in about a second. And thank you again, Mr. Toder.
Likewise.